Jason Isaacs was the perfect Lucius Malfoy. As both a man and an actor, he's been a fantastic ambassador for the Harry Potter legacy. But on this occasion, he's wrong. Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. Today, we're going to be covering a few bits of Harry Potter news, the most significant of which pertains to Jason Isaacs. Isaacs, who is best known as the cold and calculating Lucius Malfoy, has spoken out on HBO's casting decisions for the new series, and he's certainly not mincing words. In a recent appearance at Fan Expo Denver, the actor addressed the online backlash surrounding the casting of the Lazarus Project and I May Destroy You star Papa Sidhu as Severus Snape in the upcoming HBO Harry Potter reboot. Papa Sidhu is one of the best actors I've ever seen in my life, he said as reported by Kalita. I've seen some people online who are being rude about him. What they're being is racist. Isaac didn't hold back in his support for Sidhu, praising not only his talent, but also the broader cast of the upcoming series. All the cast of the new Harry Potter TV series are amazing, he added. They will be swallowing their tongues, hopefully. You know, their digital tongues when they see what Papa does on screen. The backlash, which is spread across various fan forums and social media platforms, has largely centered on the decision to cast a black actor in the iconic role originally played by the late Alan Rickman. And while I believe Isaac's heart is in the right place, I think in this respect that he's largely missing the point. No one thinks he's a bad actor. In fact, I haven't seen one single person say that. What fans are saying and what Jason Isaac seems to overlook is that this controversy isn't rooted in a rejection of Papa Sidhu's talent. It's about how HBO has handled the messaging around this reboot. In their official press release, HBO promised a faithful adaptation of the books, one that would honor the source material and bring J.K. Rowling's original vision to life in greater detail than ever before. And that's the core of the issue.
Ow!
Nearly every other casting decision appears to align with the physical descriptions from the books, and in many cases is even more accurate than the original films. Sidhu's casting as Snape stands out, not because of his talent or credentials, but because it directly contradicts the show's promise of faithfulness. To be clear, this isn't about skin color. It's about consistency. If HBO had marketed this as a creative reimagining like The Cursed Child, the backlash would have looked very different. But instead, they pitched a canon-faithful retelling, then deviated from that standard in one very specific and highly visible way. And that inconsistency has turned one casting choice into a lightning rod. It doesn't help that aside from Snape, nearly every other character has reportedly been cast in a way that closely resembles their literary descriptions, which only makes the Snape choice feel more jarring. So when Isaacs calls fans racist for pushing back, it not only misses the point, it risks alienating fans who do want to support the series, but who also feel misled by its branding. Many of these fans have been burned by adaptations that promised faithfulness and then delivered something else entirely. They just want the story they were told to expect. Calling them a bunch of racists isn't helping the situation. Ultimately, Isaac's support for Sidhu seems heartfelt. It's clear he wants to defend both the actor and the integrity of the production against what he views as a toxic backlash. And in an era where genuine racism does still infect fan spaces, his impulse to call it out could be perceived as commendable. But his framing, painting all criticism with the same brush, risks collapsing a much more layered conversation into a false binary. Because the truth is, there's a difference between criticizing who was cast and why that casting feels out of sync with the show's stated goals. Many fans, especially longtime readers, aren't reacting out of prejudice, but out of frustration. Frustration that HBO dangled the promise of a book-faithful adaptation and then broke that promise before filming even began. And when that happens, fans start to lose trust, not just in the casting, but in the creative direction as a whole. Ironically, Isaacs himself once said that he played Lucius Malfoy as someone who lived in fear of Voldemort, but masked it with arrogance and status. The irony comes from the fact that in this current situation, fans are experiencing a similar kind of fear. Not of Voldemort, but of the series being mishandled. The backlash against the Snape casting isn't just about the actor. It's a symptom of a deeper anxiety that the people behind the reboot might not truly understand or respect the source material. At the end of the day, many of us will still watch the show, or at least will give it a try. I even made a video discussing why I personally would still be watching.
Ow.
More on that in my video before you boycott the new Harry Potter series. And let's face it, there's a lot to be excited about. From a reported £3 billion budget to a massive purpose-built wizarding village at Levin Studios. It's clear that Warner Brothers is treating this like a legacy project, one with the potential to to finally bring depth and nuance to scenes that were rushed or cut from the films. Each season is expected to cover a single book with 6 episodes per season, potentially 60 to 90 minutes each. That's 2 to 3 times more runtime than the entire film series combined. So while it's entirely fair to criticize the Snape casting and hold HBO accountable for its inconsistencies, it's also fair to say this show isn't doomed. At least not yet. Emma Watson's father warns the future cast. Just recently, we've received an abundance of casting updates for the new series, many of which are for child actors that are relatively new to the acting scene. But while HBO prepared to launch a brand new generation of young actors into the global spotlight, the father of original Hermione Granger, actress Emma Watson, has spoken out. And his message is equal parts supportive and sobering. Chris Watson, speaking with Times Radio, offered a few words of wisdom to the families of the 3 newcomers cast as Harry, Ron, and Hermione. He knows better than most what's in store. After all, his own daughter's life was transformed overnight when she was cast in the original films. And according to him, it wasn't just Emma's life that changed, it was the entire family's. Watson described the experience of sudden fame as something that can be frightening for both the child and their parents, stressing how difficult it can be to stay grounded when the world is suddenly watching. He explains that it's a dramatic shift, one that requires more than just talent, but also emotional resilience and strong support at home. Interestingly, one of the ways Chris helped Emma stay balanced was by keeping things low-key. Movies simply weren't a big deal in their household. In fact, Watson admits he doesn't really watch films at all, including Harry Potter, and it was likely that down-to-earth attitude, which helped Emma stay level-headed throughout the chaos. It wasn't something that dominated our lives, he said, implying that the lack of fanfare at home may have been key to Emma's relatively smooth transition into adulthood, especially compared to the struggles many other child stars have faced. With the faces of Dominic McLachlan, Arabella Stanton, and Ellister Stout soon to be plastered across screens, red carpets, and merchandise worldwide. Watson's advice comes just in the nick of time. It changes families, and sometimes the best way to weather it is to simply not make it the center of everything. Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you enjoy the content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. What do you think of Isaac's remarks? I've got a ton of respect for him, and his heart seems to be in the right place, but I think on this one, he's in the wrong. Until next time, remember, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live.